Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. For those of you waiting for the final chapter of Stranger Things,
Mm.
yeah, well, after that season 4 ending, the anticipation is just, understandably, kind of off the charts.
It really is. I mean, Hawkins is fundamentally changed. Vecna is,
Yeah.
well, somewhere, right? And the Upside Down just feels closer than ever.
And that's exactly why we're doing this. You share a whole stack of sources with us. We're talking articles, news reports, notes on, like, every little detail that's trickled out, and we've really dug into them for you.
Yeah, our mission right now is to dive deep into all that stuff, pull out the most important bits of, knowledge and insight, and figure out what we actually know about Stranger Things Season 5, based on the concrete details that are out there as we head towards this epic conclusion. What's confirmed? What do these reports imply?
So let's unpack what the sources are telling us. First things first, the big question everyone's been asking, when is it finally arriving?
Well, the wait is still a bit long, yeah. But the sources confirm we do have solid dates now and a release strategy that might feel familiar. Season 5 is definitely locked in as the final season, and Netflix announced it'll arrive in 3 distinct parts.
3 parts, okay, like they did with season 4, the 2 volumes.
Exactly like that. It's a strategy they've used for some of their other really big series. The schedule, based on these announcements, it breaks down like this. Volume 1 is set to drop on November 26, 2025. That's at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and that first drop will have 4 episodes.
Okay, 4 episodes to kick things off right around Thanksgiving in the U.S., so you can, like, dive in after the turkey coma.
Got it.
What's next, according to the sources?
Then Volume 2 follows on December 25, 2025. Christmas Day, also at 5 p.m. PT, and that part will include 3 episodes.
Christmas Day viewing, interesting. Okay, and the absolute finale, the very end.
Right, the very last episode, the culmination of this whole saga. That's scheduled for release on December 31st, 2025, again at 5 p.m. PT. So, yeah, the sources tell us the end of Stranger Things as we know it arrives right there on New Year's Eve.
Wow, okay. That feels significant, doesn't it? Ending one year and starting another with the conclusion of the show. All right, so we know when we're watching. What does the sources tell us about where and when the story picks up? Because season 4 left Hawkins literally, scarred by those rifts.
Yeah, according to the official synopsis that came out, the season kicks off in the fall of 1987. And yes, the sources really emphasize that Hawkins is deeply scarred. It's dealing directly with the aftermath of those upside-down rifts just tearing through everything.
That visual alone is going to be pretty intense.
Yeah.
And the main objective for our heroes, like right from the jump.
The sources state they are united by one single goal: find and kill Vecna. That seems to be the immediate driving force for the core group.
Yeah, it can't be that straightforward, right? The sources must mention some complications.
Oh, absolutely. The big immediate complication highlighted is that Vecna, he's vanished. His location is totally unknown, and crucially, the sources say his plans are also a complete mystery. So this isn't just a hunt, it's like a search for this incredibly powerful, unseen enemy.
Okay, so the bad guy is gone, but the threat is obviously still very much present.
Yeah.
What else is adding pressure based on what's been reported?
Well, the government, according to the sources, they've placed Hawkins under a really strict military quarantine. And on top of that, they are intensely hunting 11, which forces her back into hiding.
So the town's isolated, and Elle, their most powerful weapon, she's back on the run.
Wow, it almost mirrors the very beginning of the series, doesn't it? But under vastly different, much higher stakes. That's a fascinating echo, the sources point out.
It really is. The sources also mention a specific timing detail. The anniversary of Will's disappearance is apparently approaching right at the start of the season, and that brings, quote, a heavy familiar dread. This detail feels really intentional, connecting right back to the very first catalyst of the whole show. It really does tie it all together. So given all this, the stakes must be just monumental.
They are described in the sources as the final battle against a darkness more powerful and more deadly than anything they've faced before. And to face it, the sources really underline this, the full party, meaning everyone must stand together.
That feels like the ultimate promise coming from these sources. The core group finally truly united for the big one.
Speaking of things finally coming together, the Duffer Brothers have mentioned this before, but the sources bring it back into sharp focus for season 5. That 25-page mythology document they wrote for Netflix way back in season 1, the one detailing the deep lore of the Upside Down.
Ah, yes, the fundamental rules of that terrifying dimension. We learned a lot in Season 4, didn't we, about Vecna and his connection to it all.
We absolutely did. Season 4 pulled back the curtain quite a bit. But the sources quote the Duffers stressing that the last remaining questions from that original document, they will be answered in Season 5.
Okay, that's a key insight here, isn't it? This isn't just about the final fight. The sources are suggesting the final fight is like inextricably linked to finally understanding the deepest secrets of the Upside Down itself.
Precisely. They've promised big reveals that will significantly affect the season's story. The fight against Vecna is tied directly to unlocking the fundamental nature of the dimension he controls. That's a huge takeaway from the sources, I think.
Right, so we know the mission, the stakes, and that deep lore is finally coming. Who exactly do the sources confirm will be part of this final battle and these big reveals?
Well, the good news is the sources confirm that the core main cast members, everyone you'd expect, are all returning for the final season.
Great to know that familiar faces are back. Any promotions or maybe new faces joining the fray, according to the reports?
Yes, actually. Amy Beth McNulty, who plays Vicky, Robin's love interest. She's been promoted to series regular status. That suggests her role will probably be more central this time. And the sources did announce some really intriguing new additions to the cast for the final season.
Oh, yeah. Who are they named?
The big one, the major announcement, was Linda Hamilton joining. Her role is described only as mysterious, though sometimes referred to in reports as, like Dr. K. Then there's Nell Fisher joining as Holly Wheeler, that's Mike and Nancy's younger sister, Jake Connolly as a character named Derek Turnbow, and Alex Bro as Litty Akers.
Linda Hamilton. Wow, that's a massive addition. And Holly Wheeler getting a name and a credited actor that seems to confirm the Wheeler family, or at least parts of it, will be much more directly involved in the chaos this time, right? Not just sort of passively observing the flickering lights.
Yeah, that connection back to Mike and Nancy's family, who've been so central from the start, it feels pretty significant based on the sources. Other confirmed returning cast members mentioned include Joe Kress as Ted Wheeler, Sherman Augustus as Lieutenant Colonel Jack Sullivan, remember him? And Gabriella Pizzolo as Susie.
Never underestimate Susie.
Right.
And wasn't there a little detail about Hopper's past mentioned somewhere?
Yes, exactly. The sources mentioned a specific casting call looking for someone for a flashback scene involving Hopper's late daughter, Sarah.
Ah, okay. That's a really poignant detail. Ties directly back to Hopper's core trauma and, his motivation throughout the whole series. It seems like the sources are suggesting Season 5 will really weave together threads from, every part of the show's history.
It definitely feels that way. Maybe let's shift gears slightly based on the sources and look behind the camera for a minute at some of the production insights that have come out.
Right. The writing process for this final season was notable, wasn't it? There were some pauses.
It was. According to reports, writing officially kicked off way back on August 2nd, 2022. Then it hit that pause because of the WGA strike in May 2023, but it resumed fairly quickly, September 27th, 2023. Netflix reportedly prioritized getting those scripts done, and by October 2023, the sources indicated they were actually over halfway finished with the writing.
Good to know the foundation was being laid solid. And filming. That sounded like a massive undertaking, didn't it?
Oh, it was huge. Production officially began on January 8th, 2024, and it wrapped just shy of a year later on December 20th, 2024. So, yeah, about 11 months of principal photography. That's substantial and really speaks to the scale of this final season.
11 months of shooting. Wow. Yeah, that underscores how ambitious this conclusion is aiming to be. How have the writers, or maybe the cast, described the tone of the season based on what the sources picked up?
The writers use this really evocative phrase, actually. They said it's like season 1 and 4 had a baby, and then that baby was, quote, injected with steroids.
Okay, that paints quite a picture. The intimate horror and character focus of Season 1, combined with the epic scale, the darkness, the high stakes of Season 4, but all amplified. That's a powerful description from the sources.
And speaking of scale, one cast member's comments were reported pretty widely. They described the 8 episodes as basically 8 movies that are very long.
8 feature-length episodes. Wow. That's a huge amount of content for the final season. Did the sources reveal any specific directors for these movies?
Yes, some have been confirmed. Frank Darabont, The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, he reportedly came out of retirement to direct 2 episodes, which is incredible. Sean Levy, who's been a key part of the show, is confirmed to be directing at least 1. And Dan Trachtenberg, who did the recent Prey movie, he's directing another one.
That is some serious directorial talent bringing this home. What about post-production? Any updates from the sources on where things stand there?
Work reportedly began in January 2025, pretty much right after filming wrapped. And the interesting detail here, according to reports, is that the visual effects are actually ahead of schedule.
That's definitely good news. We're going to need those upside-down effects to be absolutely top-notch for the finale.
Okay, shifting from behind the scenes to something we've actually seen. The sources widely reported on that teaser trailer that dropped recently, right?
Yes, exactly. The teaser trailer came out on May 31st, 2025, during Netflix's 2DU event. Now, while it was primarily functioning as a date announcement, the sources definitely confirm it contains some brand new clips hinting at the season's direction. Okay, let's dig into what those clips and maybe the dialogue snippets from the trailer might reveal based on the reports and the analysis floating around.
Okay.
What dialogue stood out?
There was a really key exchange between Joyce and Will that was highlighted in a lot of the coverage. Joyce says to Will something like, I think about that night all the time, the night it came for you, the night it all started.
Wow, right back to the very, very beginning of the entire saga.
And Will responds pretty emotionally, everything changed, we failed, but we need to be ready. The insight here, based on the analysis of that trailer dialogue, is that it immediately sets this reflective tone. It directly references Will's original disappearance and his deep connection to the Upside Down as the catalyst for everything. And it also underscores that core failure, not stopping Vecna, not stopping the rifts, and it frames the season as the final preparation for war.
Yeah, that dialogue alone is heavy, tying the end right back to the start. Okay, now let's look at the visuals that were highlighted in the trailer analysis within the sources. What kind of glimpses did we actually get?
Well, the trailer analysis points to several pretty unsettling shots that establish the state of Hawkins. We see characters like Jonathan, maybe Steve or Will, in what looks like a totally devastated forest. It suggests the town's edge is truly scarred, maybe even kind of post-apocalyptic looking.
Right, Hawkins is definitely not the sleepy suburban town we started in anymore.
Not at all. We also saw Joyce armed with an axe inside a barn. Characters like Robin and Will were behind her, looking ready for a fight. Reports speculated there was this thumping on the barn door, raising questions about what creature is trying to get in. Is it a demogorgon? A demodog? Or maybe something new entirely?
Classic Stranger Things tension buildup right there.
Yeah.
What other specific visuals hinted at the danger?
Well, Mike's mother and sister, Karen and Holly Wheeler, they were shown looking absolutely terrified as lights flickered. That classic visual cue from the show that signals a demogorgon is nearby. This really suggests the threat isn't just confined to the core group anymore. It's maybe reached the wider town population, including characters who are typically, safer.
So the sources suggest the danger is really widespread right from the beginning. What about Max? Her fate was left so uncertain at the end of season 4. Did the trailer show anything?
There's a brief but really impactful shot reported of Lucas sitting with Max, who still appears to be in a coma. And this single visual, according to the sources, sparked widespread theories. Could her deep, lingering connection to Vecna maybe give her some sort of seer-like ability or insight, even while she's unconscious? It's a compelling possibility.
Wow, that trauma potentially manifesting as a new, unexpected ability, that would be a really fascinating direction. Pulling all these details from the sources together is, we think, really crucial for you as a listener anticipating the end. Knowing the schedule lets you plan your viewing, understanding the confirmed setup and the cast gives you immediate context, and analyzing the trailer and the titles provides concrete fuel for your own theories as Countdown continues. It's about seeing the specific building blocks they've actually revealed for this final act.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting for you, thinking about everything we've just gone through from the sources. The Duffer Brothers explicitly stating season 5 will answer the last questions from their original mythology document, combined with all those hints about Will's connection.
What do you think are the absolute biggest secrets of the Upside Down that the sources suggest are still waiting to be revealed after all this time? What haven't they told us yet?
And maybe more importantly, given everything these characters have been through, what does that final episode title, The Right Side Up, truly mean for Hawkins and for their world? What state will things actually be in when the lights finally go down on this whole story? Something to definitely think about as we wait.